Hello everyone, my name is Kitetsu and welcome back to my channel. Last time I asked you guys if you wanted me to carry on this series and it was a massive yes from everyone who left me a comment, and I feel really good about that because I was worried about the series and if people would want to watch it or not, but it's great for me that you do because I love the stories, I love making the videos, and I've missed a few. In fact, this is another story behind, so my original plan was just to go way back and start filling in the gaps, but it turns out that this story is about King Glorian, and that follows directly on from the video I made last time, which I think was called As Above, So Below. Yeah, that was it. And if you don't remember who King Glorian was, he was basically the guy that the letter was written to last time. So it makes sense to kind of read this story and find out whether he was going to go and help them or not. I really wasn't expecting to get an answer so soon, and to be honest, I wasn't really even expecting to hear from King Glorian at all. But I guess they tied the story in with the pre-orders going live for the Achillean King, so it kind of made sense to get a story based around him. The more astute of you probably realised many moons ago that Games Workshop is just coinciding these stories with the release of specific figures. You know, it's a good marketing ploy to generate interest in the product before they reveal it. But yeah, I guess I was a little bit worried when I first saw that this story was about King Glorian, because I was thinking maybe they're going to end the plot thread from last week a bit too quickly. I think sometimes it's just nice to be left in the dark about the ending of a story so that our imaginations can fill in the blanks and we can always wonder what happened. But yeah, I was a little bit worried because this is not the first time I've been concerned they might finish a plot thread a bit early, because we also had the one with Rotigus, and that was where they set up this absolutely amazing campaign where we had this new Great Unclean One character heading into Shaiish with Horticulus Slimax, and it was just this epic setup with two of the most powerful demons of Nurgle invading the realm of death, and it could have just created the best narrative campaign like ever. Then a video or two later, Rotigus is defeated and banished, his invasion is just completely over, and as I said, I'm a few videos behind, so I don't know if anything has been heard more about Slimax yet, but still there was just a lot more potential for a storyline like that. Fortunately, my concerns were laid to rest when I actually read this story, because it didn't really follow that plot thread at all. You know, last week's story got nothing more than a passing mention in this one, so I went from being worried about the story to actually really enjoying it, and it wasn't what I was expecting at all, but in a sense it was still quite predictable because it ultimately set up a new campaign in Shaiish, this time for the Deepkin. Knowing our luck, they will probably have the invasion happen like in the next couple of stories, and then it will already be over in about a week after that. But who knows, I'd like to be proved wrong. Hopefully this one will fare better than the one led by Rotigus, otherwise these stories are going to start feeling a little bit kind of pointless, and I don't want them to just go through every single faction in Age of Sigmar, failing to invade Shaiish, and then this final campaign being a Stormcast victory, or something generic and a little bit boring like that. I've been saying this all along with Malign Portents, it's the opportunity for Games Workshop to let all of the other races have their time in the spotlight. I just want to make sure that it's all meaningful too, and not just a distraction until the Stormcast arrive. I still wish that we had a big old expensive Realmgate War style narrative campaign book. There's so much potential for this really thick tome where every chapter is broken down into specific factions and their campaigns in Shaiish. We could have had like one chapter on the invasion of Nurgle, and another one on the goblins and Aurochs, a third one on the Stormcast campaign, and so on, and we could have had all these faction specific agendas going on, and they even could have had a chapter based completely around Nagash and what he's up to and what he's been doing with these pyramids, and they could have broken it down into little I guess side track stories like the one with the revenge on the Deepkin in the last story. I don't know, I just think there's so much potential. I know we had the global campaign, but I'm just talking something on a much larger scale in terms of the Age of Sigmar narrative as a whole, and maybe I'm being too ambitious, but I know that if I worked for Games Workshop, somehow I would make it happen. I just think so far we have so much story left to tell, and where I've been away from these stories a while, it's kind of surprised me that we're still in this stage of sending people into Shaiish. Like, I want to see the next stage of the story. But anyway, let's find out what happened in this week's story, and I guess the moral of the story is I just need to be a bit more patient. But yeah, basically King Glorian has got the letter from the Kaftar, but at this moment in time, he's got his own problems to contend with, and as I speculated in the last video, he doesn't have any immediate plans to answer their call for aid. The cool thing about Glorian is that he is from Gur, the realm of beasts. So this story has a totally different tone from the last one. Like the realms he's occupying, the story is more wild and savage, and I really like it. And basically the enclave from this story are hunting Ironjawz and other such creatures from Gur. The last one was about a more desperate survival and like a sense of doom, with the Kaftar basically being in the midst of a horrifying invasion from the undead. This one in some ways is the complete opposite. On one hand, the Deepkin are being hunted by an impressive horde of Ironjawz. On the other hand, you have to wonder who exactly is hunting who, because Glorian is using the destructive, impulsive and predictable behaviour of the Ironjawz against them, and well, you find out what happens. But the story starts off by not exactly giving you the context of the situation that the Deepkin and the Ironjawz find themselves in, but my interpretation is that this is one big, highly risky and well organised trap that the Deepkin have laid for the Ironjawz. So Glorian has set out from Libria with a massive phalanx of Deepkin, and now they've all separated into these smaller groups. They're being pursued by a horde of Ironjawz who have caught the scent of prey, and by horde I mean thousands of them. It's like a green tide surging towards the escaping Deepkin. As the story starts, the king is riding his deep mare across some tar flats, with his Achillean escort desperately trying to outpace the greenskins. He takes a moment to reflect on how the times have changed recently. He thinks about the request for help he received from Kaftar, and it's not really the only ill omen he has seen recently. There have been numerous reports from bands of Deepkin, and none of them have been good. But the king is reflecting on his training. He's a disciplined warrior who has learnt much about the art of war, and looking back at the horde, he recalls one of the first lessons he ever learnt: never underestimate your prey. He is outnumbered by the greenskins, and on a one-to-one basis they're just far stronger individually than the elves are. But being a seasoned tactician, he knows that to face the Ironjawz head on is likely to be a losing battle, and even if he won, it's not really worth it, because obviously he's going to lose so many elves that the souls they gain is not going to compensate for that. He hears a scream to the east, and that draws his gaze, and he sees a group of Fangmora eel riders emerging from some dying trees, but the rider to the rear has suffered a fatal wound from Aurochs riding Gorgrunters that are hot on their heels. Just as an aside, I absolutely love the Gorgrunters. Like, I seriously need to get the start collecting box for the Ironjawz, because I think you get 3 in there and they just look awesome. What's not to love about heavily armoured Ironjawz riding giant pigs? But anyway, Glorian steers his deep mare in the opposite direction, but as he does so, from up ahead, yet more Gorgrunters crash through the undergrowth, and they're trying to basically head him off. Things are not looking good for his scattered band of warriors at this point, but in the face of terrible danger, the king remains calm. Being surrounded by foes in Gur is something that comes with the territory, so he's still in control, he still knows what he's doing. He drives towards his deep mare, pushing it and his accompanying Fangmora riders as fast as they can go, but not far ahead he can see the Ether Sea, and that is a sure sign of safety from the pursuing horde. Within the Ether Sea lie the rest of his people and his mightiest magicians. He knows that his only hope of survival is to reach the mist before his pursuers do. Things take a massive turn for the worse when a Maw Crusher bursts onto the scene. It bellows a roar of challenge, and its rider, Megaboss Ragdraka, steers it into the fray. The Fangmora riders to the east seem to be faring better than Glorian does, because he's basically caught between a colossal Maw Crusher and the Gorgrunters that are heading him off from the west. But at this stage, Glorian is essentially at the point of putting his plan into action. From experience, he knows that timing is crucial. A moment too early and all will be for nothing, whereas too late and they're basically all gonna die. Closing fast in front of him are the Gorgrunters, literally just before the Gorgrunters smash into Glorian and his handful of Achillean riders. Moments before they are torn to shreds, he shouts for the Tidecasters in the mist to bring the Ether Sea whipping up around him, and it pulls him and his escort up over the heads of the Gorgrunters that they're about to smash into. He literally sails straight over their heads, and the Aurochs are just staring up in the sky being like, what the hell is going on? And they fail to realise that they've now been caught in the proverbial spider's web. they've been trapped in the tar of the flats. All around him, the Aurochs are getting stuck. Their own savagery has been turned against them. They were so sure that they would make easy prey of the fleeing elves that they didn't realise their mistake of just running straight into a trap. In front of him, the flying Maw Crusher takes a mighty swipe at his group. Two of his guards are just crushed by the power of the beast, but Glorian swerves out of the way just in time. Then he calls into action his mighty spell. Beneath the tar flats lies a realm gate, and now it is dragging the helpless horde down into its dark, tarry depths. Thousands of Ironjawz have now been caught in this trap, and despite their strength and how much they struggle, they're just completely helpless. Even the Maw Crusher, with its immense power, muscle-bound limbs, is not able to tear itself from the grasp of this tar. Its struggles become more frantic as the enraged beast is slowly dragged downwards, and realising that he's about to lose this Maw Crusher, the Mega Boss thinks, right, I'm out of here, and he launches himself from his perch, swinging his chopper in a wide arc towards the head of Glorian. But Glorian is more than a match for a Mega Boss that's been separated from its Maw Crusher. With the speed and elegance that only an elf can manage, he evades the chopper and slices his greatsword across the face of his attacker. We all know that Aurochs are a hardy race, and obviously Magdraka survives the blow to his head, but he loses his right eye. Unfortunately for him, the momentum of his leap and attack is broken, and the war boss crashes into the tar, where he is dragged into its dark depths. The whole lot of the greenskins end up beneath the surface of the tar, pulled not to their deaths, but through the realm gate and into Shyish. Glorian has directed them into the realm of death to Nagashazar itself, and he knows that the hordes of undead are swelling beyond count there, and that the Ironjawz will basically relish the carnage to which they're going to emerge to. The whole story is basically like a double-layered kind of distraction and deception idea, because he's basically trying to trick the Ironjawz into falling into his plan, but then the whole point of that was an overarching plan in which he wants to distract Nagash with those Ironjawz, so that at the opportune moment the Deepkin can then invade Shyish, and yeah, that is the story. Like I said, I actually enjoyed this one more than the last one, and the last one was fun because we got to see the Deepkin in their underwater realm, and I'm sure we've seen more of that already in stories I've missed, but this one is more fun because it shows us just how diverse the Deepkin can be, adapting in different environments. In terms of the accompanying discussion to the story, well, I think I pretty much said everything I needed to at the start. I think, or really I should say hope, that the Malign Portents really is going to build up to something good with the campaigns in this narrative, but it's all so far been about getting the armies there, and then some of them have just quickly failed, so sometime soon the story will need to somehow progress and shift, maybe even into the realm of death, and tell us, like, from that perspective what's going on. But anyway, guys and girls, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and the little bell so you know when my videos are actually out, and leave a comment down below, because I obviously love chatting to you guys and I do my best to reply to as many comments as I can. But anyway, I will see you all really soon.